I think it's a little bit of a mix of two things. I mean, he's coming to the end of the rookie contract, so I think he's got one more year left, and then the fifth year option because he was in the same draft class as Daniel Jones, and I think that's the same boat that DJ's in. But I think it's a mix of he wants to get paid, he wants his guaranteed cash, and I'm thinking it's a little bit more towards the organization because Jay, about halfway through the season when we started seeing the body language issues and the rumblings coming down from the Bidwell family about, we can't have a collapse like we did last year down the stretch. I think those expectations got heaped onto him, and he couldn't handle it. I mean, he's saying that he feels like Kyler Murray, is being made out to be a scapegoat for their playoff loss. It's not a scapegoat if it's the truth. You were that bad in that game that it wasn't really the offensive line's fault. It wasn't the defense's fault. It wasn't your wide receiver's fault. You just straight up made Carson Wentz look Amish when Wentz short circuits and throws picks. Like, he had horrendous interceptions in that playoff game. That's nobody else's fault but himself. And you saw reports of, he's not the what's the direct quote? He's not the typical first guy in, last guy out of the building type of deal. He wants to kind of stick to himself. He's got a close circle. He's super quiet. He really only discusses things with this old man, and we saw rumblings of that leading into the draft when he got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. Like, he didn't really know what to do when he was communicating with the media, so he always deferred to what his dad should say for him. So there's a lot of red flags. Personally, I think he's going to be back in Arizona. I think they're going to come and make amends on certain things. I definitely think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be on the top coach on the hot seat next year, considering the back-to-back collapses down the stretch.
Which is I get your point, but it's so stupid. Like, and Cliff Kingsbury went 2-1 with Cole McCoy. Like, do we not understand? He went 2-1, and he had this team undefeated. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just getting annoyed with Kyler Murray and who he is, because it seems like we're in this day and age now where, like, if you don't like what's happening with your situation, then you can just, like, ask, in this player empowerment era, you can just, like, sort of quit on your team and nobody's gonna say boo, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the Cardinals have provided him with everything. Look at their roster. You got DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt, A.J. Green. They went out, got him. Zach Ertz had traded for him. Their defense is loaded. I mean, I don't understand what else this guy wants. It's not the rest of the team's fault. It really is you in this situation. Because, like, let's be real. When you were gone, they were playing well football. You came back, and your play wasn't up to snuff. Maybe you were still hurt. Maybe your small frame is becoming a problem now in the NFL, because this is now 2 years in a row where you got hurt, came back, and you weren't the same. Like I pointed out to you, Puma, after he came back from his injury, he's throwing the ball like Cam Newton. Like, both his mechanics are so up, both his feet are pointed to the line, and he's putting everything he has in his shoulder and his arm to get the ball out there, and they're just floating and sailing. So I really don't understand what his problem is. I think he's a big crybaby. He's a big crybaby.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. But I think the Bidwells are gonna part ways with Cliff Kingsbury before they get rid of Kyler Murray. And we were talking about this offline, but I'll say it here too. I think that fear is because I personally believe there's a very good chance within the next, say, 24 months or so, that if Kyler Murray is not a happy camper, he will pick up his ball, he will go home, and he will go back to playing baseball. You can put it on the board here, February 15th of 2022. Within the next 24 months, I would not be surprised if he goes to play baseball.
So in 24 months, he's 24 now, so he'll be 26.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't understand baseball, but is he a hot prospect? I mean, is he gonna make a lot of
Oh
money?
yeah, he was a first round draft pick by the Oakland A's. He was under contract. He was ready to go play for the Oakland A's, and I think he was going to play in high Double-A ball. Would have been on the fast track to be in the big leagues, but he worked out a deal with the A's that he wanted to go back to school at Oklahoma for one more year, and he wanted to play quarterback. And that's when he got all that buzz for the Heisman, and then he won the Heisman. and he decided to tell the Oakland A's to go kick rocks, and he was going to play football. But no, Kyler Murray was one of the top draft prospects in Major League Baseball. I believe he was going to play shortstop, if I recall correctly. It was either shortstop or second base, but he was definitely one of the top guys and was going to be fast tracked to the big leagues.
I mean, I just find it fascinating that this guy is gonna cry, go home, and go play a different sport. Like, I mean, we're just in such a. I don't want to sound like the old man in the room, Puma, and I hate the fact that at this point, like, I'm only 32 years old, and I'm saying this crap that, like, you can't just quit when life gets hard. Like, I understand you're going through a rough patch right now, but, like, you can't just, like, bury your head in the sand and then go play baseball and pretend like these problems don't exist. Like, these same problems will follow you to Oakland. You're going to have a rough stretch in Oakland where you're not going to win a few games and your performance is going to be great. How are you going to react then? Like, go back to the NFL? Like, I always say, Puma, you can leave your spouse, you can leave your relationship, you can leave your city, you can leave your job, but you are who you are, and that's going to follow you to your next endeavor. And I just don't understand why he's throwing a hissy fit at this stage in his career.
Well, that's, that kind of encapsulates society as a whole, right? Like, that's kind of the softification of society. If, the going gets tough, like, we don't grit, we don't bite down on the piece of wood and persevere. We just, kick and scream and get our way, and that's what happens. But that's a different discussion for another podcast, because we could probably spend a good hour on what society's woes is when it comes to not being mentally tough.
Where's all the Rip Wheeler? We need more Rip Wheelers out here.
We need more Rip Wheeler and Beth Wheeler and John Dutton, and even the old man in the bunkhouse whose name I'm spacing. Lloyd. We need more Lloyd in the world too. It'd be a better place if we had more of those guys in real life. But that's a discussion for a different day.
Yeah.